What's going on, guys? Welcome back to United View. Newcastle 1, Manchester United 1. I mean, usually we call it like a match reaction. I didn't even know how to react to that. I don't even know how to react to that one. Me with DJ and Cam. KG is maybe on the way. Maybe. I think that he said to me, I'll let you in on a secret, Cam. He messaged me beginning of the second half and said, I'm stuck in traffic. I'm dropping my wife off at the airport. It's taken way longer than I thought. All I'm saying is you're here and he's not. Coincidence?
He's avoiding me now, isn't he?
Stirring the pot, Owen. Just stirring it.
You know what I'm saying? Cam's here. KG's not. You make your own conclusion. I'm giving you facts and you can get to your answers. I'd rather talk about that than the game, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I'd be way more entertained in seeing Cam and KG go at each other, but we have to talk about the game. DJ, try and sum that up. Do your best.
Shit show. Just a shit show. I was watching it with my brother and our whole house was rocking because we were screaming, shouting. There was a lot of F-bombs, you name it. Things were thrown, the remote was thrown on the floor, like literally a shit show. It's hard to actually believe that some of these players earn hundreds of thousands a week from that performance. And people might call me reactionary, but I'm going to say it, and I'm going to say it now, and everyone has heard it first here on United View TV. This United team needs a rebuild. There needs to be a rebuild in place. Too many prima donnas, as we spoke about off air, not listening to the coaching. Where was the press? We're supposed to be with the godfather of the Gegenpress. There was no press today. Maybe in little spurts here and there, but there was no press. A lot of these players aren't good enough. They're not up to the standard because at the end of the day, we cannot be turning in performance like this every week. And it looks like now, irrespective of which manager comes in, these players are still doing the same thing. So can we now kind of put to bed that it might be individual managers? And yeah, Oli and Mourinho and Moyes and all these different managers had their faults. No manager is perfect, but we need at least a baseline level of performance from this team. And we have not even seen that. I just literally just can't. It's very hard to be a Manchester United fan at this point. Rashford has been just so poor. And I'm not trying to just pick people out, but he is someone today that was so poor. Varane didn't look like himself today. Maguire, terrible with the ball at his feet. Literally, fumbles with the ball at his feet every given turn. I think Eric Still, the old Manchester United goalkeeping coach, came out last week and said he was never a fan of us playing outside of the back. He said De Gea should be the one picking the passes because De Gea is technically sound with those passes. And I kind of see what he means. I think we find it so hard to play out from the back and we just invite pressure with stupid passes that you just think, what the hell are you doing? Sunday League football looks much better than what we're playing at the moment.
Super chat from Ray Diaz says, you might have to move a little bit, DJ, so you don't get Man United in the eye.
Oh.
There you go. Ray Diaz says, hashtag players out, hashtag Maguire out. Everyone was poor. Cam, I would go to you and say, from a tactical point of view, break that down. But I didn't see any. I did not see any. For, Ranieri's opening press conference, we were so excited because we heard about, high intensity, pressing, control the game. We certainly didn't have control of the game. We certainly didn't see pressing. He started with a 4-2-2. I think at one point he might have gone to a back 5 towards the end, which was confusing. What do you make? What do you make of that mess?
Same thing as everyone else. It was embarrassing, really. It's just nothing worked. Nothing at all worked. I think what you could maybe say is he's probably had 16 days and focused mainly on pressing. And when you've got 70% possession, there's not a lot to go and press. So I suppose there is that. But at the same time, at some point, it's not like we had 70% possession. We're stringing 15 passes together in a row. We had about 3 passes, give it back, and then they knock it long and we sort of win it back just about. And it was horrendous. Every single player. I think the only players that weren't below a 5 out of 10 probably were Dalot, McTominay, and probably De Gea on balance. But again, you spoke about De Gea having a good long pass or whatever. Today, he gave it straight to Newcastle. I think he does it every game, really. He messes up at least one clearance straight to a midfielder, and there's a chance coming from it. So I think we've got a problem because none of the players at the back or in goal can actually kick it long. Henderson can kick it long. He may not be good at shot stopping, but at least he can kick it long, which, to be fair, is a bit of an improvement in that sense. But it's bad. Ronaldo, I'm just going to say it right now. Cristiano Ronaldo, worst player on the pitch today. I think there's a lot of players that will get criticism. Rashford will get criticism. That one cross that Rashford did on his left foot and it didn't even get anywhere near the front post. It was just straight out.
Or the one where he just shanked it. Yeah, just all of that. The thing is with like Rashford today as well. I mean, again, it's almost difficult to pick like worst player on the pitch because they were all bad. They were all really bad. And like Rashford, like again, it encapsulated everything for him today. Like you said, pass, cross that goes straight out for a goal kick, running into players. I mentioned this to DJ before we came on. It's not to sound like Roy Keane, 5-yard passes. Literally could not do a 5-yard pass to each other, or it would either be over hit or it's under hit and they counter attack. I mean, just again, and going back to like a tactical point of view, like Ralph Rangnick can't be standing on the touchline being like, that's what I want. Like also as well, Cam, you can maybe touch on this. Why were we going long so often? Why was Bruno going long so often? And for a goal kick, I couldn't wrap my head around it.
I don't know. The going long thing's ridiculous. I think obviously Ralph's got that whole philosophy of as soon as you win it back, you've got 6 or 8 seconds to score. So I sort of understand that a little bit. But I think in that sense, I think Ralph's got to adapt. Klopp adapted, Pep adapted, that when you do win the ball back on those transitions, you can't do that every time. Sometimes you do have to keep the ball, get a little bit of control, force the opposition back and build your attack slower. Sometimes you've got to do that. Otherwise, you end up with a really transitional game. In England, transitional games against teams with St. Maximin. Newcastle are, 19th in the league? And they've got St. Maximin, Joe Linton. They've got players that can kill you on the counter if you let them. Wolves have got players that can kill you on the counter. They're not doing brilliantly, but they've got the likes of Adama Traore. In England, you do have to be a bit careful. Sometimes you've got to make sure the whole team's back, play a little bit slower, sort of kill their momentum a little bit, and then you can start you can let it get stretched as long as it's controlled. Let it get stretched when you're 1 or 2-0 up, then you can go and hit them. But I think at the start, sometimes you've got to slow it down, have a little bit of control, and build up a little bit slower. It was frustrating. I think when Marcus Rashford was on the team sheet, I'll be honest, I was a bit annoyed because he doesn't. Past few games, he's not deserved to be on the team sheet today. So I was thinking he must have trained really well. Same with Bruno Fernandes, to be honest.
Yeah.
And then, to be fair, Jadon Sancho comes on and he can't make a 10-yard pass, as you're saying. There was a couple. There was one that he had to. I think it was just maybe 15, 20 yards back to Varane, and he's put it sort of 5 yards away from Varane. No pressure on him. It was a pretty easy back pass, and Varane's then just got to run 20 yards back or let De Gea again. I can't remember what happened, but when you're making basic mistakes, whatever manager you put in front of them, there's not a lot you can do about that. It is really, really bad. I don't know. Maybe it's the break can't help them. Maybe they were nervous. Whatever it is, it's embarrassing. And as people are saying in the chat, we're running out of scapegoats, running out of other options really, because we're using basically every player and none of them performing.
Exactly, and also as well, it feels like if you say like, oh, maybe they're a bit nervous. Jesus, it's Man United in the Premier League. These players are on £100,000 a week. They're professional footballers, international footballers. And the thing that really worries me is that our last 2 games are against the bottom teams in the league. And we struggled. We really struggled. And and you could have made the argument at Norwich, they played a low block or they pressured United, all that kind of stuff. But Newcastle didn't. I mean, at times they played a low block today, but that's because we did about 25 passes side to side because we were scared to pass it forward. And by then they got into shape and they just wait. It's not even a case of they have to pressure us to make a mistake. We just make a mistake and then they'll win the ball and go up the other end of the pitch. And David De Gea bails us out. I mean, the goal from San Maximin after about 7 minutes. What did you make of that? Because it's an initial mistake from Varane, and he made a couple today, but he makes a mistake. But there's still plenty of play that happens after the mistake. San Maximin goes down United's right-hand side. Dalot, I felt, struggled with San Maximin today. He did. I mean, everyone struggled with San Maximin today. San Maximin cuts inside, goes past Dalot, goes past Maguire. It's a great finish. Could United do better there after the Varane mistake?
Look, I'm telling you now, St. Maximin, he wins the ball. He gets past the ball, on our right-hand flank. He still has quite a lot to do because he still has to sort of like get close to the box and pick his angle. We didn't even block the angle. And if I'm not even, like, I used to play football, I'm not even a defender. But I know that St. Maximin, he's going to go on his right. He's literally going to go on his right. No one tried to show him down the left.
Show him
right?
line.
And even if he's going down his right, you get out to him fast enough so you can either block the shot or you can make physical contact with him and put him off. Do something. All this sort of like shadowing in front of them, jostling in front of them, is not doing anything. And he scored. And I screamed. I was like, how have we even allowed that? Even the shot was crap as well. Like the shot was so crap by him. Like it's just got to the point now where we got players with big names in quotations, big wages, big fees, but they're just not doing the basics well. And we really have to really look at ourselves and, like it's just like I literally like I've come on here today, I'm fuming. I want to use so much explicit language, but I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that today. Right? I'll do that off cam, but I'm not going to do that now. But I just think, come on, like you can do much better than that. Like, that is really shit. It's shocking. And I think by now, and I mentioned it off cam, I said, I think it's clear that Lindelof is clear now of Maguire. Very well clear of Maguire.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right. Yeah, he is. I thought you were going to, but then to be fair, you don't need to expand on it because it's true. The goal itself, that's what was my biggest problem with it is that, Varane makes the error, but there's still a lot that happens after it. And as you mentioned, if you're a fullback and okay, Dalot, I know Sam Maximan's on my side. If you're one-on-one, any day of the week, show him the line. Change your body position, show him the line. Not only does he cut inside so easy then, but both of them are there. Then Dalot and Maguire, they're right next to each other. And Maguire's reaction to it is just to put his hands out. I don't like what? It's like laughable. It's laughable. And like Harry Maguire gets criticised a lot, and some people could say, oh, it's overly harsh. You cannot watch Harry Maguire's performance today and say to me, one, it's not standard of a Man United captain. It's that performance today from him isn't even the standard of a top 6 Premier League defender. It's not. I mentioned this to you off the air as well, that when we pass out from the back, Maguire will take like 7 touches. You can tell immediately. So if De Gea passes to Maguire, bang, he's thinking, oh my God, the ball is at my feet. What am I going to do? I don't trust my feet. The person's going to run at me. So I'm going to lose the ball or I'm going to panic, go sideways. Maybe Varane will bail me out. And if it comes back to him, then the cycle starts again. Oh my God, the ball is back at my feet. What am I going to do? And by that point, the Newcastle players know it and they're like, might as well just leave it there because he'll make a mistake eventually. It's shocking. Like, Cam, what did you think of the opening goal? Like, from a tactical perspective?
It was horrendous all round. I think as soon as Varane steps out of the line, everyone else has to shift inwards. You can't leave that big of a gap. The gap between Maguire and Dalot was far too big to start with. And then obviously it gets shown down the side. And to be fair, I don't think we can be too harsh on Dalot because it's not like, I don't think there's a single defender in probably in the Premier League that hasn't been done by St. Maximin at least once in a 1v1. He's quick, he's got great feet. He can get that half yard. But if you've got 2 defenders there, you're doubling up. There's no way you should be able to get round Dalot and Maguire with basically the same body feint, the same little move to the side. There's no way that should work. I'm not sure. I'm fed up with Maguire now. It's been long enough. I think we bought him for however much, 85 million, because he's good at the ball with his feet. He's been useless at the ball with his feet all season. It was I think before the Liverpool game against Leicester, he made 3 or 4, maybe even 5 mistakes where they turned it over straight away from Maguire, had a shot on goal. Tielemans scored right after, and then Liverpool does the same thing another 5 times. How many times does he have to learn that if you're going to get tackled, if you're going to lose the ball, just kick it, get it long, get it out of there? And it's really frustrating because I think most defenders, most players, I think Dean Henderson would do a better job with the ball at his feet at centre-back than Maguire's doing right now. He knows if you're going to get tackled, if you can't keep the ball, kick it long. Not that difficult. It really shouldn't be hard for a Man United captain to use his brain and be like, you know what? This isn't working. Try something else. And I don't know why he keeps on doing it. And the frustrating thing for me, I think, is with the long balls that we kept playing from attack, I think part of that is because we relied so much last year on Luke Shaw. It's his ability to pick out passes forwards between the lines, to the forwards, to the wingers, to whoever. And because he was able to do it fairly quickly and fairly consistently, he would get the ball to Bruno with a little bit of time and space. But by the time we've managed to do it now, they've got no time and space because by the time that pass on is an option, everyone knows exactly where it's going. So the opposition team can just swarm Bruno or swarm Sancho, swarm whoever's there, and we've got a problem. So he's got 3 seconds to try something ridiculous. He's not going to be able to dribble his way, have a little carry. It's all done. So it's just, we're missing Luke Shaw a lot. I think Dalot's been look, no one's arguing for Wan-Bissaka back in the team, are they, at this point? Put it that way.
Well, that was the thing. Like you think about Sam Maximan doing a bit of a number on Dalot today. Would it have been any difference with Wan-Bissaka? You can maybe make the arguments about one-on-ones, maybe, but
to be honest, Dalot got a really good assist for Cavani, didn't he? And he put another one.
He did.
Another one on the plate that Cavani probably should have scored as well. So I think Dalot overall was pretty decent today. I think you can't. I don't think whoever you put, Walker, Cancelo, obviously Trent as well. You put any of them in front of St. Maximin, he's going to get past all of them. He's going to cause them all problems.
In one-on-one, certainly, you're right. Yeah. You're right. You'd be hoping either for your centre back to be coming across or the person who's playing right wing double up. And again, I can't. There's no way that wasn't discussed beforehand. There's no way it wasn't. That has to have been discussed before the game. And that's my point when it comes to this. I just think at this point the players just we can criticize maybe Ollie and all these people. I just think the players just don't listen. They can't. You can't do training. You can't do training for what 16 days. The last game, I know they had time off and COVID and all that kind of stuff. But because people are going like, what are they doing in training? They've got to be doing something, right? So like if Ranić, because at one point, like I think Sancho had an opportunity second half to cross it and whatever, and it goes out for a goal kick. He was disgusted. Like you could see him there. He was disgusted. He was standing there like that because he must be thinking, oh, this is the job that basically what I do in the week means F all at the weekend because they obviously just don't do it. And it's like, I talk about playing out from the back from Maguire, but it's like it permeates the whole team. Like after it's a couple of mistakes, then suddenly everyone can't pass it now. And suddenly everyone can't cross it. Yeah. And it's baffling. It absolutely is baffling. I mean, I was talking to Flex at half time and he was saying, maybe Ranić's trying to play a sort of a pressing system with players that can't press. And then our response is I could see that, but also you've got players that aren't technical players as well, because if these are technical players, they'll be able to do 5-yard passes. I mean, we'll go to Rashford next, DJ. Like,
oh my gosh,
where does Marcus Rashford go from here?
Do you know what? Yeah, I've been sitting down and just thinking about Rashford for the last couple of weeks in terms of his talent, his development, and I can honestly say he had some great development early on when he came into Manchester United. He offered something really new. But I just feel that maybe he's hit a ceiling now. I don't think he's gonna get any better than he is right now. And maybe I'm calling it too early, but I just don't see him getting any better. I don't see over the last year. I haven't really seen much development from him in terms of up here. Like I haven't seen his brain develop. I ain't seen the IQ develop as a football player. Like I can't honestly say to you guys and say, yeah, Marcus Rashford is a clever footballer. Like Paul Scholes was a clever footballer. Like Xavi, Iniesta, and I'm not comparing him to them. I'm just saying in terms of the brain, like they're clever footballers. Even Ronaldo as a striker, his movement,
Cavani's
clever footballer. I can't say Rashford's that guy, and I think that is where he is lacking. Physically, good, quick, skillful. He can shoot, but I just think when it comes to the mental aspect of the game, he is really lacking, and it's telling. And he cannot play any worse than he's playing at the moment. And yeah, second half he was trying, but then it almost becomes sort of like the solo Rashford show. Like he'll try and do it just for himself and not for the team. He makes stupid decisions sometimes where there's an easy pass on. He'll choose to try and take on 3 or 4 players. It doesn't pan out for him. And, we used to blame Lewis Nani for this. We used to blame Nani for the same things that Rashford is doing at this current time. Honestly, for me, Rashford needs to sit on the bench. He needs to eat bench. In terms of who comes on for him, I think maybe if Elanga is showing willingness and I know it's early, he's still a young player, let's start bedding him into the first 11 because Rashford does need to sit on the bench for a little bit and maybe be used as an impact player. Bruno for me as well, and I know this ain't even about Bruno, but Bruno for me today played very poor. Again, we have Donny van de Beek sitting there. We need to try something new now. Rashford and Bruno, they've been constants under Ollie. They've had hot and cold games. It's time that they need to sit on the bench now, maybe be brought on as substitutions. Just how we used Donny and how we used the other players. We need a change. Enough's enough now. Ranić's probably seen enough today. We need change. We do need change in that starting 11.
I think with Rashford as well, I think a lot of people, myself included, when you saw his name on the team sheet, I think a lot of people went, he's lucky. Like he wasn't. Well, he's lucky because he didn't play. He hasn't played well recently.
Yeah.
But like Cam said earlier, you thought, well, maybe training. He might have had a good couple of weeks, whatever. But he started right up front with Ronaldo. I think, but he wasn't. He didn't play anywhere near him. And in the second half, he must have been as that wide 10. But again, it's like Cam mentioned it before. I don't know if Rashford can do that.
But Owen,
I don't.
But Owen, before you get to the super chat, the thing is about Rashford and you know, my brother and a couple of my friends were saying, "Why is Rashford playing these shit?" He is the only player that's going to give you that pace next to Ronaldo, because Ronaldo's not. He's not going to give you that. He's not the outball no more. So if we're getting pressed on one side and we can switch it, Ronaldo's not going to run 20 yards, 50, 30 yards, whatever it is. Rashford will give you that, and that's why he's selected. He's selected more for his running ability now, because Greenwood's not as quick.
Issue?
It's probably then a system issue. Then if we're going to change the system, we're going to have to be more technical, because Rashford, for me, he's technical in some aspects of his game, but in terms of the nitty gritty inside in the middle of the field, he offers nothing. He offers literally nothing. But yeah, that's just my little 2 cents, man. I'm tired of Rashford, guys. Honestly,
I think in theory, if you can try and, like, if they were going with ball over the top, Rashford up front with Ronaldo does make sense, right? That makes sense. But he wasn't playing up front with Ronaldo. He was on the wing, but he wasn't playing as a wide 10. It was. I'll get to the super chats. And Blue Dabba says Rashford is going to be another Lingard, always going to be a young talent from academy, even when he's 30. Need to sell him before he's too late. Well, wow, not a Rashford fan. Digimon14 says Rashford can only play in a counter-attacking team where he has space. Can't play in a possession-based team. Bruno complains but misplaces passes. Cam, what do you think about Rashford? You mentioned before that you don't think he can do the wide 10, which I agree. I don't think he can do the wide 10. But today, like I said, I think he was playing up front with Ronaldo, I think. But that didn't work out either. Like DJ says, is it just a case of he just needs to come out the side for a while?
Yeah, simple. I think he needs some time on the bench to work out. Just maybe, I think it could even be that watching the game from the side actually helps him to realise what he's supposed to be doing. It's obviously being on the bench isn't an exercise to sort of help you, really. It's because you've been shit, but like he needs to be on there to just have a look at what he's meant to be doing. I think he doesn't really know. Like as you said, I think he started up top with Ronaldo and then sort of switched with Greenwood to that right side of that the wide 10, but he doesn't really know what he's doing in either position. I will say one really good ball he played. I think he was a little bit deeper, just inside off the right. He played one really good ball in behind the defence, which was I think there was no movement in front of him. He was waiting for ages for someone to move. Had so much space and time. Eventually fed a nice ball, and I think it was to Bruno. Then Bruno played it back across the box. That was the one good bit of play I've seen, and that was actually, to be fair to him, using his brain a bit, and I don't mind that. But I think we really, really need Paul Pogba back for that position. I think Rashford, if we're going to look to keep going with this 4-2-2, and to be honest, I'm not too sure about it. I don't think it really suits us that much. I think it maybe suits the back four, McTominay and Fred, suits them. And I think in front of that, the thinking was he's got 4 players left. Ronaldo needs to be in a 2 with another striker to get the best out of him. So he's put someone there, and then, well, if there's only 2 more players left, you're going to have to put one on each side, aren't you? So I think that might be how Ralph sort of devised the system. Obviously, he's played that system before, but I think it's time to change it now. I think the good news is Bruno's suspended for the next game, so Van der Beek will have to start, or Sancho will have to start. At this point, it honestly is. But yeah, someone else is going to have to play next game. Van der Beek's not really suited to that wide role. I think second half we went to more of a 4-1-3-2. It was just McTominay behind, Bruno just in front of him as sort of an 8/10 in one go, Sancho and Rashford wide, and then Cavani and Ronaldo up front. I think Cavani up front actually, his movement was really good. He had the best chances of the game, and again, I'm not saying much criticism for Ronaldo because he didn't do anything really at all. There was no movement from him. Every time he had the ball, he was just way, way, way too rushed with it, desperately trying to put someone in or do some flick or something. He wasn't just calm, put my foot on it, let us keep the ball, make a few passes. It didn't happen.
I think he's an issue now. I honestly think he's an issue. I think it's an issue. I think from what I saw of Cavani, if you notice the 2 chances Cavani had today, he was literally standing on the penalty spot. That's where you want your centre forwards all the time, literally on the penalty spot. And Ronaldo's a bit of a maverick. He'll move sort of like lateral across the box. in a variety of positions. And yeah, he will pick up those Cavani positions. But when the game's not going good, when the game's not going well for him, he does seem to struggle. When in the Premier League, where he's now a little bit more long in the tooth, you know, those magical moments are going to be a little bit more few and far between. And I always like Ronaldo's having powers. He's losing his powers slowly over time. He's still good, still world class, but he's losing those powers ever so slightly now because he's getting older. And Father Time literally has no favourites. Like, Father Time is kicking in with him, and that's why I do believe Rashford is selected up next to him to do his running, a lot of his running for him. It's just that now I think we can see a clear difference now when Cavani comes on. When those balls come into the box, he's going to be there every time. And I think we do need that. It just goes to show, say if we never bought Ronaldo, who would have been our pairing up top? Who would have been up top? Do you know what I mean? Because maybe it would have been Martial. Maybe this whole Martial leaving thing would have never happened. Ronaldo's going to get us goals. He's still going to get us goals to the end of the season, but at what cost? Is it going to be more personal gain for records, or is it going to be in contribution to the team and actually making us effective and a better squad? It's a question to ask, really.
Super chat from Chief Sosa says, bro, allow the pace. I don't give a toss. Rashford hold the ball and pass it. I've had enough. He needs to be gone ASAP if you want to win trophies. Jesus. Wow, there you go, DJ.
Well, he's telling me.
Chief Sosa. Yeah, exactly. Super chat from AMLG says, the shocking thing is I don't see these players bust a gut besides a few, and it's shameful. Certainly questioning the desire of some of the United players. It's interesting you mentioned about Ronaldo, because it's a difficult one, isn't it? Because I think they showed a stat before the game about, you know, and it was the Carragher-Keane thing a couple of weeks ago, wasn't it? About, can you drop Ronaldo? I think he's played 18 this season, scored 13. Still is an unbelievable record. It still is an unbelievable record, and it's tough to drop him out. I agree with Cam that at half time I was thinking, like, this 4-2-2, it just don't work for United. I'm not saying it doesn't work as a system. It works for quite a few teams in Germany, and it's worked for Rangnick in the past. I just don't know of these players if that system, if you can get those players to do that system. I agree that Pogba, ironically, would fit really well because he's been playing wide 10. He's been playing wide 10 the last 18 months for Man United, because that's where Ollie was putting him. It was the only way to put him, wide 10 on the left. So if when he's back, of course he would thrive in that position. But I just don't know if it necessarily would work at the United, because you look at those players and almost the wide 10's becoming an issue at this point. Like, who can do that? Who could do that? And we're playing two up front, which I'm glad for, because I agree. I think Ronaldo does need to have a partner up front. I think why it works with Cavani is sometimes the problem is Ronaldo is because he's Cristiano Ronaldo. You saw it a couple of times. He got the ball. He gets just swarmed by 3 Newcastle players. And if you just give them something else to think about, that is Edison Cavani, who, like you said, is willing just to, I'll drop off. I'll make a run, then I'll just stop on the penalty spot. Suddenly I've got all this space and I should score goals. And again, we talk about Rashford. That's why he's probably not the ideal partner for Ronaldo, because he doesn't do that. He would just carry on running or be doing something else in the meantime, you know. So I don't know, Cam. I mean, what alternatives? We'll get to Super Chat first, and then we'll talk about the alternatives. And Blue Dabba says, Bruno is literally the reason Dalot got an assist, and we are slagging him off. And wasn't Donny van der Beek the reason that young boy scored against us in the Champions League? Well, yes, he was, but you know, also people do make mistakes. Bruno made a mistake against Watford earlier this season. We're going to point them out. Everyone does make mistakes. I mean, Bruno, look, this is the thing with Bruno, and this is what we said before. Bruno will do those Hollywood passes and they will go out for a goal kick 95% of the time. Maybe one will lead to a goal and that wins us the game. That's great. But when they don't, we lose the game and we could be more productive with the ball. That's the problem. Going back to my point I was just making, Cam, if we don't go with a 4-2-2, then what alternatives do United look at? Is it back to the 4-2-3-1? Dare we go back?
I think it's tough, because I think if you're going to press as a team, you do need players close together. And I think if we do go back to a 4-2-3-1, or whatever system we go for, I think the idea will be having, rather than out-and-out wingers, the idea will be to have wide playmakers. Because I think if we're going to go for that, it's clear if Ronaldo's playing up top, which he is going to be, he's not the type to get deep, get involved and build up. He is there to finish. finish chances. He's there to get in the box. So you need people that can create for him. And having just Bruno very clearly isn't enough for us. And I think for me, whatever we go for, whether it is the 4-2-3-1, whether it is the 4-2-2, for those wide 10s, the three best players in the club, style-wise, to fit those roles are Jadon Sancho, Jesse Lingard, and Paul Pogba. They're the three players that actually, if you want to put wide playmakers in, style-wise, they're the best fits. Yeah, sure. Sometimes Greenwood might be able to cut in from that role and put one in the top corner, but you want to build a team with the players in the right style for those positions. And I think that's what we're missing at the moment. And that's what's a bit frustrating because we're playing players with the wrong style for the positions and they're not playing well. So I think it's going to be really difficult to see Rangnick changing the back four or the two in front, to be perfectly honest. I don't see that happening because I think overall, defensively, we seem to have reasonable control of, I think, games, and it's something I can definitely see us building on. I think with Varane coming back, getting back to somewhere near his best form, I don't think he'll be as bad as he was today. I think today he made some mistakes, misplaced a lot of passes, wasn't great in duels or anything. But I think when he gets onto the top of his game, Varane and Lindelof is a decent back two. You trust that. Those two with the head behind.
Would it happen?
Really?
Would it happen?
I think if Maguire keeps playing like this, it has to happen. And also, Maguire gets quite a lot of yellow cards, doesn't he? He can't be far away from suspension. And one game is all it takes. If Varane and Lindelof play together for one game and they're both incredible, you've got to stick with it. So I think we might get lucky in that because I think the only thing is Lindelof's got COVID. So if I was Maguire right now, I'd be thinking, can I get my next yellow card? If the next one's the last one, can I get the next one before Lindelof's back from COVID so I don't lose my place in the team? That's my thought process right now as Harry Maguire. But hopefully he can't do it. Hopefully we're getting booked. Get him out of the team, get Lindelof in. But yeah, I think I don't really see too many alternatives. I think you've got to have two strikers. So unless we go to a back three, which I'll be honest, I'm not sure it really suits us that well. I think we're doing perfectly fine with a back four. I don't see the need for the extra centre back, put it that way. So I think we're going to stick with a back four. We're going to stick with two strikers. And I mean, maybe we put McTominay on his own in that role. I think, to be honest, second half, whilst he was on, McTominay did well enough in that defensive mid by himself. It's like, the thing is, I didn't think Fred was even that bad first half. What did you guys make of Fred?
No, it's harsh. I thought it was harsh. I couldn't believe when he took him off. What if he went to like a sort of a 4-2-4, but in reverse it sort of changes into maybe like a 4-5. I don't know, but I could think maybe like a 4-2-4. Could see something like that where I'm just trying to think how can you fit people into the team? That's the problem, because people are going to miss out. People are going to miss out because people just can't do the roles, and I think that speaks volumes. It really does speak volumes. And Blue Dabadai says, then should the other players try and step up a notch, referring to I guess the Bruno situation. This is the problem on Blue Dabadai. I think that, like today, I genuinely think some of those players are trying. Some of them
You know what, Owen? I'm sorry. I'm going to say this, yeah. Bruno has been poor for a lot of games. Bruno FC, please just sit down and listen to what I'm saying. Yeah, just for once. Listen, because I'm a Bruno fan. But we cannot keep covering for him. We can't do that. We can't keep covering for him. Yeah, he plays poor 80% of the game, right? He might get as Owen said, he might get the assist for the goal. Brilliant. But when that doesn't happen, and that hasn't happened in a little while now, yeah, and it's not even meant anything, I'm telling you now, there needs to be change, whether it's a coaching issue or him sit on the bench for a while. It cannot continue. It cannot continue. I just wanted to say it just cannot continue. We can't keep saying, oh, but Bruno's done this and look what he's done for us. Yeah, brilliant. But we haven't won any cups. We've won no trophies. We've done nothing. So there needs to be change in this team because we cannot be sitting here watching performances like that week in, week out. Like, we don't deserve it as fans. We don't deserve it as fans. And the camera kept panning to Rangnick, right? After, like, if United lose the ball or whatever. And he was livid. Like, he's only small. He was livid. If he could have gotten a picture himself, he would have. Yeah? Like, I think today was an eye-opener for him of how big the challenge is. And I think not even just ability-wise, I think mentally, some of the players are just not there. They're just not there. So it's going to take all of Rangnick's powers and for the 6 months to try and get something out of this team because right now it is looking doom and gloom.
Jensk says, have Ralphie lost the dressing room after 3 games? No. He had no. I don't think. I don't think so. I don't think he has. Another one here says, Coming from Hendo FC. Are you Hendo FC, DJ?
Me? When have I ever been Hendo FC? You must be watching some other United fan
You're
channel.
mistaken DJ for Jack.
Yeah. Never been
Hendo FC. Hendo FC. DJ, that's you. That's you.
Jack, we know you're in trouble, mate. He's getting me in trouble.
We know that as soon as the stream goes off, then the camera pans. You've just got these posters, signed gloves on the wall, the shrine.
Plot twist.
You know? Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's like a scene from like Dexter or something like that. And he's like, oh, I'm never going to talk bad about you again, Hendo. Don't you worry. Your secret's safe with me.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Like, can we have Burnley next?
Oh.
Which, again, I think about, we looked at these fixtures. And we went, we've got great fixtures. We've got such great fixtures going to March. The concerning thing is that this is meant to be the time we're building momentum, and we're not really seeing it at all. If we struggle against a low block, I mean, what do you think is going to happen against Burnley?
I think what we need against Burnley, we need to be, for starters, much more physical, better in the duels. You can't be. I think a lot of times today we arrive half a second too late to the challenge. It's just mentally not anticipating things, and then physically not running as quick as you can to get out. It's just that intensity was missing a little bit. I think we weren't in some of the duels we didn't compete properly. Maguire, to be fair, you kind of expect him to arrive half a second late to every challenge at this point. That's not a surprise. But a lot of I think in the midfield, and I think the whoever's in the wide tens or the two strikers, they've got to work harder when we lose the ball. I think as soon as, at the moment, sometimes, not all the time, sometimes they do go and press straight away when the ball's still with the opposition defence. But as soon as it's gone past them, they've got to run back. They're done. They just sort of stand there, walk back it slowly. You can't have that. What makes Liverpool and City good when they're pressing is that pressure comes from all angles, all sides. So if the opposition centre-backs have carried the ball out 10 yards, all of a sudden, they're met with a midfielder from United pressing from in front. And if they turn around to play it back to their keeper, they're in trouble because there's a United striker right behind them ready to cut out that pass and take it off them. So I think you just need more work rate from the entire team. More work rate, more physicality, more aggression. And those are pretty basic things in football, which is frustrating.
Sound like Ollie.
Guys, do you know what I'm seeing? I'm seeing sort of like tick box pressing. So it's like I'm watching them and you'll see them run to press. And it's not a committed press. It's like, I'm pressing. All right, yeah, I've pressed tick box. It's not an effective press. And I think the only time we've seen that was the Palace game. Yeah. Like literally as soon as Palace picked the ball up, all angles, United come flying in to win the ball back and then start the transition and start getting the play moving. But I just think it looks very much tick box press, like it's not a committed press and sometimes not even a realistic press. Like Bruno will press or Rashford will press and the ball's like 20, 30 yards from them. And the probability of them even closing the ball down or getting to the ball in time is really low. Like, so again, it's just Cam's 100% spot on there. Like the intensity is low. And I don't know whether it's just, again, a mental thing. Like we need to be all in this together. We all need to press. When Cavani came on, you could see him immediately. The ball went out over on the left-hand side, on their left-hand side, left back position. And he literally turned around and he was like, right, guys, come, let's all go. Let's all squeeze them in. Let's all try and pressure them and squeeze them in. And a couple of them like, yeah, all right. Some are jogging. Like, there's just no intensity. And all we've been hearing was 16 days. And De Gea came out and said, yeah, it's been really intensive training sessions. That didn't translate well on the pitch.
That'll be the new one. That'll be the new thing, by the way. We were too tired from training. We were too tired. We were burnt out from training. That'll be the next thing. David Lee says, only 146 likes, a disgrace. Yes, you're an absolute disgrace. You're a cheat. That's the problem. Honestly, though, this is the thing. You mentioned about the pressing and tick box pressing. I didn't even know if I saw that at points in the game. Like I didn't. Like at some points, they didn't even press, and that goes back to my original point that Rangnick, he's got to be standing on the touchline. He's got to be going, we worked for like 3 hours on pressing as a team or pressing in a unit, or we said when the left back gets it, we trigger the press, or when this right back gets it on this side, you go there. I've spent hours with you. I spent video analysis. We've done all of this kind of stuff, and this is what you give me. I mean, lucky he's got a full head of hair in his 60s because he's going to be ripping it out. I just don't see. And maybe I said the Norwich game was the slap in the face of reality. This is another one. Just proper 2 slaps of face in reality. I think like looking forward, like if Cam, where would you even start? If you're Ralph Rangnick and you go, right, that game didn't work out. What's your first port of call to change that and try and get a result against Burnley?
That's
the
really
reaction. That's the reaction, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I think against Burnley, what I'd maybe do is we know, obviously, I think it's pretty clear how Burnley are going to play. It's no different to how they've played in any game for the past 5 years, but I think they'll probably, it will be 4-4-2. So I think I would change it slightly. I'd probably go to, rather than a 4-2-2, I'd maybe go for a 4-3-1-2 and then have Matic in the middle of that midfield three with either Fred and McTominay or Fred and Pogba either side. I think the thinking there is that then it should make it a little bit easier for us to build out from the back, because if they're pressing with two strikers, which they probably will at times, they will come out and press us, then Matic can just sit in between the centre-backs. You've got a 3v2, so it should be easier then to move the ball forward. Luke Shaw at left back and hopefully Dallo at right back. They can push on a bit, and you've still got Fred and McTominay in the middle, or Fred and Pogba, whoever it is, and then hopefully Donny van de Beek in front with Cavani and Ronaldo up top. So I think then, at least then you've got players all spread out over the pitch. So you've got the fullbacks either side on the wings, two strikers and a number 10 in the middle. So there should be enough space for some combinations as well. And then the midfield is just a little bit wider than that. So there should be something to do. And I think what's important is just making sure that when we've got the ball, firstly, we're more patient, more precise, but also I think using the width a bit better, I think is important. Because I think today, a lot of times, the whole idea, if you've got your wide 10s playing a little bit narrower, so they're not playing as proper wingers, you need someone else who is that outlet, so you're actually stretching the defence. And too many times today, if you play that ball over the top straight away, then there isn't time for your fullbacks to get up the pitch. And then all of a sudden, you've lost that whole point of width. You've lost the idea of how the team's set up. You've lost the ability to press because all your players are where the ball's come from. And if it's gone all the way over the other side, your players are half the pitch away. So I think maybe go back to basics. Maybe rather than going with these wide playmakers, just have out and out wingers potentially, or potentially even keep the most basic. Keep some experienced players in the spine of the team. Maybe the back four, the two defensive mids, and in front of them, whoever Ralph Rangnick trusts to listen to his instructions. Doesn't have to be on names anymore.
Yeah.
Whoever you trust to listen to instructions. It's pretty clear he trusts Elanga to do exactly what he's told. So play Elanga with Ronaldo. If you're going to play,
maybe it might be like that. I mean, because like that's what I was saying before. It's just, it feels like that some of the people just maybe aren't understanding what they've been told to do, or what they've trained to do. Maybe it's a case of, like I said before, I think the 4-2-2 doesn't work. I mean, Liverpool do it with a 4-3-3 essentially. United definitely have the players to do that. They've got the wide players, inside forwards to do that. The concern, I guess, would then be if Ronaldo is going to be that. Like Liverpool, it's essentially a false nine. Ronaldo ain't going to be a false nine. It ain't working because he's not going to press. And then that goes back to the problem of the Ronaldo problem. Do you think, DJ, do you think Ronaldo is an issue now?
Yeah, I do. I do think it's an issue. I mean, it's an issue when it becomes an issue, if that makes sense. I would drop him for some games. I don't think he needs to play every game. And that's honestly, like, I think Keane and Carragher, they had that argument, does he need to play every game?
Yeah.
I actually agreed with Carragher. I do not think Ronaldo needs to play every single game in the Premier League, because the Premier League is different. Yeah, we all know it's different, and every team's going to set out quite differently, and we need certain combinations and different feels for different games. And Cristiano Ronaldo, for me, he's got one mode, and that is, I'm going to stay up top and I'm going to score goals, right? He's not interested in any of the other manual labor that sometimes we need to do with certain games. He's not interested in that. Ronaldo just wants to be there, pulling the lever and putting the ball in the net. That's all what he wants to do. And that's great, but that's for some games. Other games, we're going to need a little bit more. We need to be a bit more tactically aware. We need our forwards to be a bit more dogged and to be a bit more aggressive. And that's why, someone like Cavani, for me anyway, is our best option for that. If we want to do this 4-2-2, if we want to proceed with that, he is definitely one of the number one candidates for that position. But I just think, with Ronaldo, we need to manage him. He's 36. I don't know why there's this, and I think every United manager, even the new one that eventually will come in, is going to have this pressure to want to play Ronaldo every game. I don't know if it says in his contract that he needs to play X amount of games a season. Maybe. But I do think that we may see this team evolve if Ronaldo does maybe sort of have more of a limited role or more of a cameo role for this team, because we do need to build a team now that's going for the future, because it does seem every time our number 10s are picking up the ball or whoever, everything has to go through Ronaldo. And it doesn't have to be like that. It literally doesn't have to be like that. So, yeah, I would drop him in some games, yeah.
And Blue Dabba says, Hendo does have a better ball distribution, only needs a few games to get warmed up. So, you never know. Apparently, Hendo FC.
Oh my days.
Pedro
Don't know where
says
that came
Varane
from.
was poor today. Doesn't help when your partner is Maguire. Then, as usual, team mentality poor whenever in the trenches. That's the thing. I think Varane. Not that anyone, but I hate giving people a pass. I'm not going to give Varane a pass just because he's Varane. I think you can probably say some of the mistakes made could just be because of rustiness. When did he last play? Like October, something like that. I mean, it was a while ago. You can give him a pass for that. I just think sometimes when you see it, I think back to like when you remember when England went out to Iceland in the Euros 2016, where people start making mistakes and then it just sort of spreads. Like it just spreads to everyone, and then suddenly everyone's playing shit, and nobody can do a pass, and that's what it's like. And it's contagious, it's infectious, and that's kind of what it felt like today. I mean, I'm not gonna go in on Varane. I'm not gonna, go in on Ralph Rangnick because I think that's crazy. I think it's becoming more apparent that it's like the issue is bigger than the coaches. I think it's personnel, isn't it? It's a personnel issue, and I think the Ronaldo point, DJ, is interesting because I do agree with you that he doesn't have to play every game, and he doesn't need to play every game, and there are certain games that maybe Cristiano Ronaldo isn't best suited for. But if Ronaldo isn't suited to play Newcastle away, what game is he suited for?
And that's for Ralph Rangnick.
Sound like KG. DJ. Come on.
That's for Ralph Rangnick. I mean, I just think that, with Newcastle, you knew they were going to come with blood and guts. You knew they were going to come fighting, be aggressive, try and win every tackle because desperate men do desperate things. They were in a desperate situation today. And so the question is, does Ronaldo thrive in that environment? Maybe in some of the El Clasicos, it's a bit 50-50. But over in England, where again, it's just a different league. The bottom teams will try and feed off the top teams. They will try and get something out of a game. And that crowd today, the Newcastle crowd were amazing. I can't lie. Like, as a United fan, I was like, every ball Newcastle would win, the crowd would get behind them. It literally was the 12th man on the pitch. And I just think that for me, when there's a little bit of adversity, Ronaldo does struggle a little bit. He does seem to struggle. He does get a bit petulant. He does throw his arms up a little bit. And that's because he's a perfectionist. And when things ain't going right, his game does start suffering a little bit. Same with Bruno. So I do think, again, back to the main point of Ronaldo, he doesn't need to play every game. Play some games. Obviously, I'm not Ralph Rangnick, so that's for Ralph to decide which games he does play. But yeah.
Could you argue then, Cam, with the Ronaldo situation, talking about certain games or today, could the argument be made that, again, he was showing massive signs of frustration? I mean, if he'd have probably connected with that challenge on Fraser, he could have been sent off. He literally went right through him. Is it also a case of, look, we know his limitations, if Ronaldo has limitations, but we know his limitations at this point in his career. But you're looking at these 10s, these creative players, did they create anything for him? Did he have any service? Are we expecting a 36-year-old Cristiano Ronaldo to pull rabbits out of the hat when he doesn't have that many rabbits left in that hat? If you keep refilling it, then yeah, he'll keep pulling out of the hat. But to expect Cristiano Ronaldo at 36 years old to be Cristiano Ronaldo of 10 years ago or even 5 years ago with no service, isn't that part of the problem as well?
No, that's it. He's got no rabbits. There's no rabbits today. He's used up his supply. He's 0 now. After that goal against Atlanta, he's done. He needs more rabbits given him constantly, all the time. I think that's the best analogy I've heard on this show for a long time.
Wow, I try.
Quality. He's done at this point. I think the midfield is just like, what's coming from that? I think I do want to see Van der Beek next week. It is time. It's time now. If you're going to play, I think another part of the frustration for me is if you're going to play those long balls from deep, the whole team has got to sprint up the pitch so that even if Newcastle win the first ball, they head it forwards, they come straight to a United player. If you win the second ball, you dominate the game. If you can reliably win second balls, then fine. Play long balls all you want. As long as you can win the second balls, you'll still dominate the game. But what I saw today too many times, Bruno plays that ball over the top to whoever, and everyone else is just jogging slowly up the pitch. Maybe he gets to the halfway line by the time the ball's there. Maybe not. So there's no pressure on the ball. We don't win the second ball, and we've got to defend again, try and win it back, and then try the same thing again. So it's just like, that's not how Ronaldo got close to a couple of the long balls, but that's not how you work a chance. That's not how you break down a defence. That's just, I don't know what
Hit and
that
hope.
is. It's just,
It's hit and hope football, isn't it? I mean,
it is
you criticise Sam Allardyce for it, but what was the difference?
nothing.
We played Sam Allardyce football today. Literally, it was the game was win it back, go long, win it back, go long. And then when we did try, and maybe we were trying that because Ralph Rangnick had a look and saw us try to do passes and went, ain't gonna pass it for him. No chance. Yeah. We'll go long. See what happens instead. Super chat from Pedro says, I don't think Ronaldo could have done much more. It was a graveyard shift, no service. 4-2-2 is too rigid. This is not Bundesliga, which kind of touches on your point earlier, Cam, about Rangnick having to adapt. DJ, do you see Rangnick adapting, or do you think maybe part of the issue might be is that he's going to be steadfast and no, 4-2-2 is going to work? They just got to get it. They've just got to understand it.
Yeah, I think like I've had a couple minutes to calm down, and I'm literally just, as you guys are speaking, I'm just thinking more about.
Yeah, you took a look at your Dean Henderson sort of pictures on the walls. You went, okay,
I have of
calm down. Calm down to him. Yeah, your shrine.
And I literally just sat and thought, well, look, Ralph's only had a few games. There's a whole new system. Maybe we are jumping the gun in terms of, the players getting it. Obviously, but they're professional players. They would have heard of 4-2-2. They would have watched high-level Bundesliga games with their mates. They would have flown to Germany and watched games just on the off chance. But I just think that he's going to stick with it. I do think he'll stick with it. And to be honest, I do think it is a really good formation. And I think we do have a lot of players that can fit this system. I just think we need upgrades on some of those players to fit this system, if that makes sense. So I want to see January come.
What positions? What positions then?
Definitely the 2 6s. Obviously, there's players mentioned, speculation, Haidara and players like Kamara, ball winners that are going to win the game, high-intensity players, and a little bit more technical on the ball as well. I think they could vastly improve the midfield. And I think that's where we should strengthen. I think if Kamara goes for 10 million, you do the deal. He's young. I think he's like 20 years old. You do the deal 10 million and then 30 million for Haidara. That's nothing to Manchester United. 40 million for 2 players that are going to improve the 2 6 positions. High energy. They're used to playing, or especially in the case of Haidara, 4-2-2. And if you want that pressing style, we need people to, set the example in the midfield. That's the engine room. We need the example set straight away. So it would be I'll be shocked if we don't do any business, even if it's bringing one of the 2 in January. But I think Ralph will stick with this 4-2-2.
Cam, do you think if then, so let's say Haidara and Kamara, say we get both, which I think we probably might end up getting one, but say we get both. If they drop those into the team, do we comfortably beat Newcastle? Does that solve all of our issues?
No. I think I said the same thing again in the Norwich game. I think McTominay and Fred were decent enough today. They did a good enough job if we'd won the game and they performed exactly like that, you wouldn't criticise them. You wouldn't say that they were what's letting us down. It would have been more if they had been better. I think they were perfectly fine. They broke up play enough. I think maybe one thing you could criticise them for possibly was not being quite aggressive enough in the duels in terms of sort of aerially and getting there quickly enough on the ground. But overall, I think they won the ball back a lot of times. They supported the press well. And actually, to be fair, they both moved the ball forward quite well. It was just that when it did get moved forward, there was no composure, no ability from anyone else in front of them to just be like, you know what? Relax, make a few passes, then we'll pick them apart. There was nothing from anyone in front. I think, again, under Ole, a lot of times we got really, really frustrated by the lack of movement. There's nothing going on in front. And there were times today when you have 2 strikers, Ronaldo and Rashford, or Ronaldo and Greenwood, whoever it is, standing on the last man. Neither of them want to go in behind. Neither of them want to come short. They just stand exactly where they are and nothing happens. And the problem is, if that happens, then it's really hard for the wide 10s to get in any space because the defence are right there, right in front of them. If one of them's making that run in behind, even if that pass doesn't go to them, the defence drops off, there's a little bit of space for the wide 10, and all of a sudden the angle opens up for the other side. So I think it's a combination of everything. I think, yeah, more midfielders may help, a bit more quality, fine. But is it going to change that? Really? No, it's not. Because I think McTominay and Fred gave the guys in front of them enough sort of passes, enough service. I say service loosely because it's not like they're giving them assists or sort of putting the ball on their head in the box. But
they gave them the ball.
They gave them the ball enough times that they could do something with it.
Yeah.
But the guys in front, every time, whether it's Bruno, whether it's Greenwood, whether it's Rashford, Ronaldo, they did something stupid, gave it away, and yeah, straight back to Newcastle, start again, repeat the cycle. And yeah.
Super chat from Joey says, Our midfield got dominated by Joelinton. That alone is a disgrace. I tell you what, Joelinton was actually unbelievable. He was unbelievable. Like, and that's when it gets back to the embarrassing point. Like, Joelinton gets bantered by his own fans, let alone everyone else. So, and he was unbelievable. I mean, said Sam Maximan, Joelinton, they were quality. It kind of reminds me watching United play, and I'm very hesitant to say this because I know it's only been a few games for Ralph. But it kind of does remind me, when you used to watch Man United play under Louis van Gaal, and it's a tough watch. And like, you almost get the impression that maybe tactically, I don't know, do they expect too much of these players, And maybe it's just like actually finding out, oh, I want these players to play this certain tactical style, and they just they just can't do it. They're just not up to snuff for it. Maybe it is like that, because I did get that watching the game earlier on when I was just like, oh, it's tiring. Super chat from Blue Dabba Dabba says people were saying Ollie out when CR7 didn't start against Everton. Buffon saying CR7 was the reason Juventus didn't win the Champions League. Is the same happening here? Well, in fairness, I saw the Buffon quote when he said that Ronaldo was why we didn't win the Champions League, or we got to a Champions League final without Ronaldo, etc. How are Juventus doing at the moment post Ronaldo? Now, you could people were saying like, yeah, that's because Ronaldo killed it and damaged it. No, the problem is with Juventus is they were an aging side. They were an aging side, and they threw all their money not just into Ronaldo, but into getting people like Ramsey and getting all of these guys to come in. And then they realized that their squad aged out, and they've somehow, after winning the league like 10 years in a row, managed just to completely capitulate. But it is what it is. But yeah, going back to it, it did remind me a little bit of LVG era, and maybe it's the case of DJ now. Is Ranić's job now? Forget maybe trying to implement how he used to play or how he wants to play this 4-2-2, the gegenpressing. Is maybe his way just to be like, actually, I've just got to implement. I've just got to try whatever tactics gets the best out of these players. I'm only here for 6 months in charge of the coaching, so maybe I can't. I don't have time to be a big upheaval. What do you think?
Yeah. I think that's a very tough question. I do think he will stick with, as I said, 4-2-2. I think he will want to sort of like at least embed his philosophy. We all knew it wasn't going to happen overnight. Maybe these are some of the teething problems that we're coming across. And I think he's wanting, and that's the thing. I think January transfer window does show us a lot about what his plans are in the immediate future, depending on the type of players he brings in. It gives us a clue kind of if he's going to stick with the 4-2-2 or if he's going to want to maybe change. Because we all know this Manchester United team was designed for 4-3-3. If you look at the personnel and the players, it was originally designed to be a 4-3-3 team, fast attacking, fluid football, interchangeable, front three, all of that jazz. It just hasn't worked out to be that. And, what they're expected to do now is be a high energy, high intensity, aggressive footballing team, which we haven't been that. Even when Ollie took over, like we wasn't the team that sort of ran the most miles in the league and put in the most tackles. We've never been that over the last 3 years. So, for it to change in quite a quick turnaround, I think it's a big ask for some of these players. And I'm not afraid to say, I think some of these players, their football IQ is just terrible. Some of them, in my opinion, their football IQ is just terrible. So I even called Rashford dumb. Literally, I just think some of their football IQ is terrible. And Ranić's brought in psychologists and all that type of stuff and data analysts and stuff like that, which is good. That stuff's not going to give immediate repayment. It's not going to give us immediate satisfaction, immediate payback. It's going to be over time. So we may have a few more games like this where it's a bit flat, where the players are a little bit indecisive until it clicks. And when it clicks, I do think it will be good. I think Crystal Palace was a bit of a bounce. I said it before, it was a bit of a bounce, but it kind of gave us sort of an intro into what could be possible with this Manchester United team and with a few additions. So I think he'll stick with 4-2-2. Be very surprised if he goes back to 4-4-2-3-1. Because again, players will be leaving soon as well. So we just got to see. We've just got to see.
We'll wrap it up in a second. But Cam, given tonight's performance, and to be honest, given the performances we've seen now, 3 games for Ralph Rangnick, Palace, Norwich, Newcastle, given these performances, if we continue playing like this, And obviously, I think even it's annoying that I have to say that our aim is to get top 4 this season. But do we get top 4 this season?
Spurs are looking really good right now. Arsenal are looking pretty good. I think it's going to be tough. I think it will take us maybe 3, 4, 5 games more to actually start to see a bit better in terms of with the ball, in terms of the way we look after the ball and how we press it. I think it's going to take time. And what doesn't really help us is that we're trying to work this all out whilst on our easy run. If we're working this out on the big games, then people will be like, you know what, cut them some slack. They're playing City, they're playing Liverpool. It's a tough run. But we're working this out in the easy games. People are going to start turning pretty quick if we don't get this right soon. But it is a process. It is going to take time. I think, I'll be honest, I still think we'll get top 4. I think we'll just about scrape 4th. I think it will be Arsenal that miss out. I think Chelsea, Arsenal and Spurs will miss out. I think it's City, Liverpool, Chelsea guaranteed, and I think we'll just about scrape it. I think we will hit form. I think especially when the Champions League fixtures start to come back, I think that'll be a massive boost to everyone. I think for whatever reason, I think obviously Ronaldo playing in the Champions League, Varane playing in the Champions League, those sorts of things will probably boost everyone at the club, and I think that will do a massive favour in terms of confidence. I think that's what's really needed. I think as soon as the results start to turn for the better, start to pick up a couple of wins, half of this team will look like different players the next few games. I think that's what it just is. The confidence to be able to take things on, try things, and the confidence also to trust each other and trust your teammates when things aren't going well. I think that's what we're missing right now. So I think when that comes, I think we'll start to get on a good run, and I think we will just about get top 4. Just about.
That's what I'm kind of waiting for. Like you said, I'm waiting for that game where it feels like, clicked. We saw a really good performance, and we haven't. And it felt like DJ points out with the Palace one, after that 30 minutes, you went, right, a couple games in, we're going to really click. And it's just gone the complete other way. And that's the concern. This will come back to bite me, but I'm not too worried about Arsenal. I'm not. They are playing some nice football at the moment. I just think track record, they will drop off because they do. They've got young players. I think the best thing is that they're doing is like Aubameyang isn't playing and they're playing their young players. And they got some good young players, but I think they'll drop off. I'm actually quite worried about Spurs, to be honest, because I just think again, the difference between Arsenal and Spurs, they got Antonio Conte. He's managed to take Spurs from having, was it the 20th, the worst running stats in the league, to the top of the running stats in 3 weeks or 4 weeks. It's insane. And they played well against Liverpool. They should have scored many more goals against Liverpool. That's my worry, is that he could turn them around. I don't know how I feel about top 4 at the moment. I'll be honest. I don't know, because the last 3 games, if we were playing against top teams, we'd have been in a lot of trouble. We'd be getting the same results as we got against Liverpool and Man City earlier this season, to be honest with you. I don't know. I hope to see it click. DJ, what do you think? Top 4 right now? How do you feel?
Oh man, yeah, but I don't say that confidently. I'll be honest with you. I don't say that confidently at all. We're gonna struggle. As I said, there's gonna be more games like this. We just need to just grin and bear it for as long as we can.
I know we've got a point today. We didn't lose.
And you know what? As I'm saying that, as I'm saying that, Cavani could have stole it. If Cavani puts that first chance away, that's 2-1. We win the game 2-1. So,
yeah, that one, and the one where the keeper and the defender mix it up. If
he
reacts.
Exactly. Yeah. I do think there are a few key things that this game's taught us, and I hope Ralph's paying attention, and he's someone that probably does pay meticulous attention to the team. I think Cavani should be a starting from now. If he's back fit, he needs to be starting. And I think he can offer something. Sorry?
Do you think he stays in January?
Yeah, I think Ralph will put his foot down and say, look, apart from maybe Martial, no one else is leaving. If the money comes in, I think you're going to want to keep some of these players, especially Cavani, the likes of Cavani. Especially, look what he's done today. Do you know what I mean? So he's going to want to keep him. But yeah, I think we will just scrape top 4. We need to hit some form soon to do that, though. We do need to hit some form soon.
Lastly, Cam, do you think Cavani stays in January?
I think now Ralph will put his foot down, as he said. I think he'll say no. There's no way you're going anywhere. We need you for the rest of the contract.
No way.
Sit here and deal with it. I think the excuses are starting to come out. Apparently, Maguire's been out and said that the training ground was shut. Half the people playing today are recovering from COVID, so it's understandable to run out of steam. But that doesn't excuse being so bad with the ball. It really doesn't.
No, I mean, it doesn't excuse. We're talking basic football. I said it to DJ before we went live. If you played like Rashford played or McTominay played Sunday league, you'd get taken off. They'd say you're having a stinker, mate. They say you're having a stinker, mate. And we've all had them, but we don't all have them at St James's Park and get paid loads of money to have them. That's part of the problem. Yeah. Anyway, guys, look. Thank you for joining us this evening. It's been a bit of a late one. Flex, I'm assuming he might be finished outside St. James's Park now. So he's been talking to the fans outside St. James's Park. It's a long drive. It was a long drive for him today. So it'll be interesting to see what the travelling Manchester United fans have to say. I'm sure there'll be some constructive criticism, certainly, of tonight's game. So be sure to subscribe and smash a like on this video and, of course, on the fan views and Flex's views as well. Tomorrow, I don't know what the plan is for tomorrow, to be honest with you. I don't know if it'll be a full view. I'm not sure. Tuesday would be Flex and KG show, but we have a game on the 30th, so there might be a preview. I don't know. Christmas time, festive fixtures. We try and keep up, but it is what it is. Anyway, guys, look, we're out of here. As mentioned, be sure to smash a like and subscribe. Speak to you again soon.